Most people think the best way to handle a traffic stop is to be honest. They roll down the window, smile, and start explaining themselves, thinking it'll make the officer go easy. But here's the problem. Honesty sounds like confession when you're talking to law enforcement. What you see as cooperating, they see as evidence. I'm a lawyer, and I've watched people turn simple warnings into tickets and tickets into charges just because they said too much. So in this video, I'll show you the 5 things you should never admit during a traffic stop, because the law doesn't reward honesty. It rewards silence and smartness.
Number 1. Yeah, I was speeding. Let's start with the line almost everyone blurts out without thinking. Yeah, I was speeding. Sounds honest, right? You're just trying to be polite, maybe even hoping the cop will appreciate your honesty and let you off easy. But legally, that one sentence is the equivalent of signing your own ticket. The second those words leave your mouth, you've just confessed to a traffic violation, and that's evidence. Remember, police body cams record everything. When you admit to speeding, you're handing the officer proof on a silver platter. They don't even need to prove it with radar anymore. Your own words become the evidence used against you in court. Now, here's the trick. Cops know this. That's why their first question is almost always a setup. Do you know why I pulled you over? It sounds casual, but it's a legal fishing hook. If you say, yeah, I was going a little fast, you've taken the bait. You just made their job 10 times easier. Think of it like poker. The less you reveal, the stronger your hand. So what should you do instead? Stay calm, stay polite, but don't admit anything. The best line you can use is simple. I'm not sure, officer. That one phrase keeps you neutral. It doesn't sound rude, it doesn't sound offensive, and most importantly, it doesn't incriminate you. You're still cooperating, you're just not confessing. And here's why this matters. Traffic stops aren't casual conversations. They're legal interactions that can end in fines, points on your license, higher insurance, or worse. Every word you say can end up quoted in court. People think being polite means admitting fault, but real smartness is knowing your rights and staying respectful. The officer's job is to gather information. Your job is to protect yourself. So, the next time those red and blue lights flash behind you and the officer walks up with that classic line, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Take a deep breath, smile, hand over your license, registration, and insurance, and calmly say, "I'm not sure, officer." That one line might not sound like much, but it's the difference between a warning and a guaranteed ticket. Remember, honesty isn't the same as self-incrimination. Be polite, be calm, but never admit guilt. You can't argue your way out of a ticket on the roadside, but you can outsmart the situation by keeping your mouth legally safe.
Number 2, I only had a couple drinks. This one gets so many people in trouble. Picture it. You're driving home after dinner. Blue and red lights flash in your mirror, your heart drops, and the officer walks up with that friendly but serious tone. Have you had anything to drink tonight? Now, most people panic and try to sound honest. They say something like, yeah, just a couple beers, thinking that'll make them look cooperative. But here's the truth. That one line is basically an open invitation for a DUI investigation. When you admit to drinking, even just one, the officer now has probable cause to take the stop to the next level. Breath test, field sobriety tests, flashlight in your eyes, the whole 9 yards. And once that starts, you're not getting out of it easily. Even if you're completely sober or well under the limit, that admission puts you under suspicion. Your body language, your speech, your eyes, every small thing becomes evidence to confirm what you just admitted. And here's the kicker. Cops ask that question not because they don't know the answer. They're watching your reaction. They want to see if you hesitate, if you stutter, or if you confess. The moment you say, I had a couple drinks, you just gave them exactly what they needed. Reason to keep digging. So what do you do instead? Stay calm, stay polite, but protect yourself legally. You don't have to lie, and you don't have to confess. The smart, safe line to say is, I'd prefer not to answer any questions. That's perfectly legal, completely respectful, and it shuts down that part of the conversation. You're not arguing, you're just exercising your right to remain silent. Remember, you have the right to not incriminate yourself. That's in the Constitution. Use it. Another pro tip, never argue, never joke, never try to talk your way out. Alcohol-related questions are designed to get you talking so you make a mistake. The more you talk, the more you risk saying something that sounds bad on camera or in court. So next time an officer asks if you've had a drink, don't volunteer information. Be calm, be respectful, and protect yourself by saying nothing that can hurt you later. Because in that moment, you're not just talking to a cop, you're talking to a courtroom that might hear your words replaying weeks later. Stay smart, stay silent, and let the law work for you, not against you.
Number 3, I was just on my phone for a second. This one sounds harmless, almost innocent, but in the eyes of the law, it's a self-destruct button. You get pulled over, maybe your phone's in your lap, maybe you look down at GPS, maybe you were changing a song, and when the officer walks up and says, "Were you on your phone just now?" most people panic. They don't want to sound rude, so they say something like, "Yeah, just for a second." Congratulations, you just admitted to distracted driving. That one little sentence is all the evidence they need. You might think, they didn't even see me texting. Doesn't matter. Your own words just did the job for them. When you say, "I was just checking my phone," it's no longer a question of if you were distracted, it's a confession. The officer can write the ticket right there, and in court, that body cam clip becomes Exhibit A. Here's the truth. Traffic stops are designed to make you talk. Every question the cop asks sounds casual, but it's not small talk. It's a legal checklist. They're collecting information. And when you admit something, even something small, you make their case stronger and your defense weaker. Now let's say you really were doing nothing wrong. Maybe you just picked up your phone after a red light. Still, don't try to explain or justify. The more you explain, the more you open yourself up. Instead, stay polite, stay cool, and don't confirm anything. The best response is simple. "I'm not sure, officer." That line is gold. It's respectful, it doesn't sound offensive, and most importantly, it doesn't hand them ammunition. You're cooperating, but you're not confessing. Think about it like this. If a cop asks, "Were you texting just now?" that's not a friendly question. It's a legal one. Anything you say can be used to justify a fine or even raise your insurance rates. The body cam doesn't record your intention. It records your words. So the next time those lights flash and you feel that pressure to explain yourself, remember this: you don't owe an explanation. You owe yourself protection. Be polite, hand over your documents, and if they ask about your phone, smile calmly and say, "I'm not sure, officer." That one line could save you from hundreds of dollars, points on your license, and a record that says distracted driver. Remember, silence is power, and smart people use it.
Number 4, I didn't see the stop sign. This one sounds innocent, even honest. You roll through an intersection, the lights flash behind you, and when the officer walks up, your natural instinct is to explain yourself. So you say, "I'm sorry, I didn't see the stop sign." Seems polite, right? You're just being honest. But legally, you just admitted fault completely. That one line is a full confession. "I didn't see the stop sign" means you weren't paying attention, and that's what lawyers call negligence. The moment you say it, the officer doesn't have to prove anything. You did it for them. You've just handed over everything they need to write that ticket. And if you fight it later, that body cam footage will play right back in court. Here's the truth. Police are trained to ask questions that sound casual but are designed to make you admit guilt. Do you know why I pulled you over? Did you notice that stop sign back there? These are traps wrapped in friendly tone. They sound like conversation, but they're actually part of evidence gathering. When you say, "Oh, I didn't see it," you're telling them, "Yes, I broke the law and here's why." So what should you do instead? Stay calm, stay respectful, but don't confess. You can be polite without being guilty. The safest line you can use is simple. "Can you tell me what happened?" That one sentence flips the situation. You're showing cooperation, but you're not confirming anything. You're letting the officer explain their version, not trapping yourself in yours. Remember, your job isn't to prove you're innocent on the roadside. It's to avoid giving them proof you're guilty. And another pro tip: never argue, never lie, and never over-explain. The more you talk, the easier it is for your words to be twisted later. Police body cams don't care about your tone or your good intentions. They record exact words, and courts treat those words like hard evidence. So when you catch yourself about to say, "I didn't see the sign," stop. Take a breath. Hand over your license, registration, and insurance, and stay quiet. Because in that moment, every word matters. You can't talk your way out of a ticket, but you can definitely talk yourself into one. Be polite, be smart, and remember, honesty is good, but legal awareness is better.
Number 5. You can search my car. This one, right here, is the big mistake that turns a 5-minute traffic stop into a full-blown investigation. Most people say it because they think they're being helpful. You get pulled over, the officer shines a flashlight inside and asks that loaded question. You don't mind if I take a quick look, do you? Now, you want to seem cooperative, you've got nothing to hide, so you shrug and say, sure, go ahead. Bad move. Because the second you say yes, you've just waived one of your strongest constitutional rights, your protection against unreasonable searches under the Fourth Amendment. Here's what that means. Once you give consent, the officer doesn't need a warrant, doesn't need probable cause, and doesn't need to justify anything. You've handed them full permission to dig through your car, glove box, trunk, bags, everything. And if they find anything, even something small you didn't know was there, that's now legally fair game. People forget your car is your personal property. You have rights. But the moment you say, you can search my car, those rights vanish. And if something is found later, you can't argue in court that it was an illegal search because you allowed it. And here's the part most folks miss. When a cop asks to search your car, it's not because they have solid evidence. It's because they don't. They're fishing for a reason to escalate the stop. If they truly had probable cause, they wouldn't need your permission. They'd just do it. So if they're asking, it means they're guessing. Don't help them. So what should you say instead? Calmly and respectfully say, I don't consent to any searches, officer. That's the power move. You're not being rude, you're being smart. You're asserting your rights politely. And here's the key. Once you say that, they can still search if they have legal cause, but your statement protects you in court later. You've clearly said no, and that matters. Remember, traffic stops are about control, not conversation. The officer's job is to gather information. Your job is to protect yourself legally. So, next time you hear that line, mind if I take a quick look? Don't panic. Don't argue. Don't give in. Just breathe, stay calm, and say, I don't consent to any searches, because the only thing more dangerous than what's in your car is what you let them find.
Here's the truth. During a traffic stop, words are your biggest weapon and your biggest weakness. Most people think being honest means blurting out whatever comes to mind. Yeah, I was speeding, I had a couple drinks, I didn't see the sign, but every one of those lines is a legal landmine. The cops' questions aren't casual. They're crafted to get you talking, to make you admit just enough for a ticket or an arrest to stick. You don't need to lie, and you don't need to argue. You just need to be smart. Stay calm, stay respectful, and remember the golden rule. Never volunteer information. The less you say, the safer you are. Your rights only work if you use them. So, when those lights flash in your mirror, take a deep breath. Don't panic. Don't talk too much. Just know this. You're not required to explain yourself. You're not required to guess why you were stopped. And you're definitely not required to let anyone search your car. Your job in that moment isn't to win an argument. It's to get home safely and protect your record. Let your lawyer handle the rest. Because at the end of the day, the smartest people aren't the ones who talk their way out of a ticket. They're the ones who don't give the system anything to use against them.